Always. Literally can never hear it. We might figure it out, but it might be by the end of the season, just like the United figuring out how to play a full squad. I was gonna say for you guys to even score a goal, but first and last names this week. We're due. I'm always on my toes. How am I doing this weekend? I'm doing pretty good this weekend. We had a fun-packed weekend full of football. We also had some not so great performances. How are you doing? You haven't. You have not been nothing but crushed. I'm okay. Well, this season you've had two defeats, but like the last two seasons, you've had lots of joy when you've kept yourself up in the Premier League. Because they lose every game. Hey, let let me just give you something to hold on to. Last season, at the very beginning, United also got ruined just like this. Like they literally almost I think it was almost the exact same. I think it was like 2-0 and 4-0, or maybe 4-1. So hey, no, what I'm saying is there's good things are gonna come now. Good things will come. We were in the same place as you after week two last season. We were in last place.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about some good news, uh, which is really my record in picking games this past weekend because I went 7-2, which is a new
Yeah,
record on this pod.
I went 3-6, but you know what? I was really hoping to root for the little guys this weekend, and I rooted for the wrong little guys. I should have rooted for West Ham.
When I received your text, and as I was entering them into our Instagram story for all our friends to see, I thought you were kidding with some of these
No,
picks.
I wanted people to win. I wanted some things to happen.
Unfortunately, things happen in almost the exact opposite way that you thought.
Hmm.
We'll go through the matches today, friends. We will go. Obviously, we're going to go through some of these matches a bit more in depth than other matches, and we're gonna have a fun show today. And we can't tell you yet, but we have something in the works with some apps and maybe some sponsorships and things. But we can't really tell you about it yet because we haven't signed on the dotted line, and neither have they. But exciting things could potentially, maybe, should, would, coulda, maybe, hopefully, will be coming.
Maybe, I believe is the key word there. We'll see what happens.
I think there
And
was a lot of keywords.
we always have a fun show.
We do always have a
If
fun
not,
show.
if not for the groundskeepers, at least for us.
That's true. Well, I'm so excited about my record of 7-2 over this past weekend. Overall, I'm at 13-6. Andrew, you are at 8-11.
Yep, very, very astute of you.
I believe in you. I think if you stop picking for your hopes and dreams, you can do much better than what you've been doing.
All right, well, I believe you in Everton, so I believe you can also do better.
All right, let's go through these results. Friends, we're literally just going to go down the list of the matches as it is on the EPL website. That's kind of how we determine which ones to talk about. You may see
I
other
was wondering
podcasts.
what order you went.
Yeah, you may see what other podcasts do. That I know some of them like to go. They talk about the more in-depth games first, and leave less time for the other games. For us, it's nice and simple. We don't know how we're gonna say this. We have no real outline for this show. We just kind of have the matches
We
and
just
their
like to have
scores up.
fun.
We just like to have some fun. So, first
Two
match we're
things
gonna
that
talk
you always
about.
got to remember: have fun and hydrate.
Have fun and hydrate. First match we're gonna talk about: Nottingham Forest versus Sheffield. Forest pulled out a 2-1 victory, and really, you could say that Forest used their heads to get this win.
Oh Lord.
Friends, if you don't know, if you haven't watched the highlights, both of Forest's goals came off of headers. So they really used their heads.
You're gonna say the same thing again.
I was really proud of myself.
I mean, you should be proud of yourself. And you know what? Forrest should all. Hello, I know how to use words. Forrest should also be proud of themselves for getting a win this early in the season. Not taking notes from Everton.
I don't know how we haven't yet brought out the fact that Forest has a player named Wood on their team. Have we not discussed this more in depth?
I mean, yeah, they have, what is it, Chris Wood, the Australian guy?
He scored the game winner with his head. Wood scored with his head for Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, this dead air you just gave was phenomenal for the people who only listen on the podcast, the audio version. Anyways,
Right?
I have some fun facts. Nottingham Forest winner, courtesy of the aforementioned Chris Wood, in the 89th minute, was their latest winning goal in the Premier League since 1996. That goal was scored by a Holland against Arsenal.
What?
Yep, that's my fun stat of the day.
Wait, like a Holland's dad?
Alf Inge Holland.
That's not his dad, is it? Isn't his dad's name like Alfie?
Yeah. Go ahead, look it up.
I want to fact check this real quick.
Well, while you're looking that up, I have another fun stat, and I'm not gonna be able to say this.
Oh shit, it is the same guy.
It is.
That's wild.
You're welcome for the fun stat. Look at me doing my in-depth research for this pod.
Proud of you.
And if only I had an intern who specialized in stats. Hey, everyone out there, if you're getting a PhD in math or statistics and you just need like some kind of a weird side gig, it doesn't really pay anything. But if you just want something like mindless to do, or you just need some fun with math, hit us up. We can
pay
find
in laughs.
plenty of things for you to do. So, anyways, Awani. How are we gonna say his name? It's a really
I don't
hard
know.
name to
We're gonna
say.
have to check that one out.
Taiwo. He became the second Forest player to score in 6 consecutive EPL appearances. I'm just giving you some fun facts out of here, because there really wasn't much else to this game. We both predicted that that these teams are going to be in the relegation battle. I do love these fan bases, though. I gotta say, these are the perfect definition of, even when two teams who are not the most skilled come together, as long as their fans absolutely love the teams, it can still be a fun atmosphere and a fun match.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I think anytime we ever like have watched like a Forest game, their fans themselves and just like the atmosphere they have at their stadium is always so cool, and it's always so fun. They're like, I mean, just as we talked about last season, it was their first time back in the Premier League in 26 years or something crazy like that, and they stayed up by like the skin of their teeth last season. And so the fans just absolutely love it. They love being here. They love being a part of the ride that they're on. Even for Sheffield, they're back up again. They've had their time in the Premier League before, but yeah, they're just people are just so happy and so behind their teams right now that like it's just going to be really fun to watch and like, be a part of these games in a sense. Because I mean, I feel like a fan when I'm watching these games.
Absolutely. I sometimes these more intimate stadiums, we're gonna go with that. Sometimes they provide the best atmospheres because you feel closer to players, the fans, the community. And this sport
Hmm.
really, if the Super League that didn't happen taught us nothing, is that these teams are supposed to be for the community and not for the owners.
I I believe Vin Diesel says it best, and it's family.
I'm so proud of you because you've been trying to get a Vin Diesel family joke in here for 3 weeks now.
Well, I got it finally.
I'm happy for you. Also, fun fact: Tybo's six consecutive goals. His run of scoring in 6 consecutive Premier League games is now the longest of any Nigerian player, and is surpassed by only 2 African players who scored in 7 consecutive games. Do you want to take a guess as to the other African players?
I mean, I could probably easily guess one of the African players,
So
considering we have one in the Premier League right now who does consistently score goals, and it's Salah.
correct. Good job.
I
The
know
other
some
one
things.
is Adebayor.
Emmanuel?
Yes.
Oh, nice. That one I would not have guessed.
I mean, 7 consecutive is actually really difficult to do.
I mean, it's
And
not. No, it's not easy considering there's so many like factors and like you could not. It's not like you're going to play 7 easy teams in a row.
like, what if you get an assist or 2 assists in one of those matches, then your streak is ruined, but you still directly contributed to goals for the team.
I mean, yeah. Then your streak is dead.
Do you have
Also,
anything
can
else
we?
to add?
Yeah, can we talk about how like is this going to be a new trend this season, or maybe going forward of teams not having jersey sponsors? Because Forest don't have one again,
Do they
and
not?
neither does Chelsea. They don't have a front
Okay,
jersey
Chelsea's
sponsor. Not
jerseys
a
look sick.
So do Forest. The Forest is plain red, no jersey sponsor on the front. It's just Adidas and their little tree, and the 2 stars over the tree, which means they won the Champions League twice.
Yeah, look at these Forest jerseys. They don't have a sponsor again?
Not according to the Chris Wood picture I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, I'm on their official website. Wow. Do we
So interesting
only
because
just care when it
two
was
seasons
Chelsea
in,
because it's Chelsea?
probably.
I mean, Chelsea did
I
have
mean,
an option, and it was an adult website.
did they really?
But yeah, they said no.
Damn, they should have
Somehow
closed on that
Todd
one.
Bowley actually resisted the money.
Surprising. Good for you, Todd Bowley.
Yeah, way to stand your ground somewhere financially. Maybe he was mad
It's
he wouldn't
really
get like a lifetime premium membership as part of the deal.
or become like owner of it.
Yeah, that was probably the other thing. We have anything else to talk about this? Because I really have not much about this game. It was a fun game. It was a cute game. They played their
It
little
was a
hearts out.
cute game.
It was, but as soon as they play one of the big boys, they're screwed. So
Yeah, I think either of these, like when you put them against, I wouldn't even say the big six anymore is like a thing, but anyone that's in the top right now is probably going to ruin them.
in so many different angles.
So many different adult website angles.
Next up, we're going to talk about City and Newcastle. City 1, Newcastle 0. Heading into this match week, this was arguably the match of the week. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I'm surprised that there weren't more fireworks in it. They're the same fixture last season. I think they tied 3-3.
That was a fun match. I was going
It
back through
was.
that and as soon as I saw the score, I remembered all of it. It was very entertaining. It was great. It was so much fireworks. Ooh, real quick, side note. I had one more fun fact about Sheffield United.
Okay, go.
They have now lost each of their last 16 Premier League away games when conceding the opening goal.
Such a good fun fact. I'm so glad.
That's machine.
I hope we have some Sheffield fans that don't listen to our podcast anymore just because you're dragging them through the mud.
Don't we only have one Sheffield friend?
Probably.
Did
Sorry
we
about
give
that.
someone Sheffield?
Well, we gave someone Forest.
I thought we gave someone Sheffield too. No?
I don't remember. We can go back and look.
Well, we can figure it out later. Hey, if you're the friend, let us know. The City Newcastle, a lot of hype around this game. There were some concerns about City because they had that midweek matchup against Sevilla for the Super Cup, which went all the way to
Yeah.
penalties. It's very grueling on this team. They were the only Premier League team that had to play a midweek match, which
So dumb.
you can make some arguments for that this early in the season. It's not going to affect them as much as it will later on. But I don't understand why they couldn't have just played this last week before the league started.
Yeah, do this before all league starts. Why are you doing it right when both like everything just starts up? Don't do that.
I don't understand. Maybe this is because they don't know, like, each league starts on a different weekend. So maybe they just had that date picked because they were like everyone's either about to be in form or like had just started.
They should still just do it before everyone starts.
That's what I think.
Because I'm pretty sure the Premier League and La Liga start, I think, the earliest.
Yes, because I believe it goes. No, when did Premier
I
League?
think the Italian league starts last.
That's definitely true because Pulisic scored that banger of a goal on the opening weekend.
Didn't he assist the second one as well?
I believe so. He had a great game. Very excited. We can when this podcast expands and we discuss other leagues, we will go in depth at that time about all the Americans who are in Serie A.
It's almost all of them
A
at
lot.
this point.
But you know what? I
They're
love
getting
that.
there.
What's important is consistent playing time in a top league. It doesn't even have to be the best team in the league, as long as it's consistent playing time.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways,
And
back to this
Pulisic
matchup.
deserves it.
Back to this matchup. I didn't think so we know Holland didn't do much, right? He didn't score, which for him is not doing much. He still had 4 shots on target. And my first thought is I feel bad for the next team that plays him after a match like this. Did you happen to look at who they play next?
It's probably like Luton or something. Actually, no, it's
Sheffield.
right here. Yeah, it
So
is.
he's playing
Yeah.
Sheffield next. Everyone, if you gamble, put money down on Holland for at least 2 goals.
If you really gamble,
At least
take Sheffield winning 1-0.
If you put $1 down on Sheffield winning next week, you will immediately make up anything that you put on Holland.
I wonder what that actually is, though.
If you can look it
You
up.
keep talking. I'm going to look.
So, yeah, he had 4 shots on target. On this pod, we are 100% sure he will get back on track. The friends on this pod we are in the same fantasy Premier League.
Yes.
And everyone in the league has Holland as the captain.
Literally every single person.
Literally every single person. I'm pretty sure everyone who plays on the fantasy Premier League website has Holland on their team, and they tried building their team around Holland to keep with that budget because he is just so good. You cannot afford to have him off your squad. There's no one else to pick up as like an alternative that's cheaper.
No, I think we legitimately. I think I looked one day because obviously we have our people that we play against. I was just very curious. I'm pretty sure every single one of us has like Holland, Salah, De Bruyne.
Ooh, I do not have De Bruyne.
Not anymore.
No, I never had him.
Did you really? I mean,
Correct,
I never
because
did.
I tried finding a way to get Holland, Salah, and De Bruyne on my squad, but I was unable to budget the rest of my squad. I do have Mitoma.
Makes sense. I have Sully March
Ooh. I use my wild
and a
card.
Stupinian.
Everyone has him too. I used my wild card this week to make like 6 changes.
That's what I did last weekend. I was like, oh fuck this.
Yeah, I had to drop a couple guys. Eze out of Crystal Palace, which is not doing what I thought he was going to be doing this season. I changed my
Mhm.
goalies around.
I kept my goalies the same. I think I changed up like the defense and like defense and like one forward, maybe a midfielder.
I'm trying to play more of a 3-5-2.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, back to this matchup. You know what I was really super duper excited about? Because I've been talking about this dude since last season, and I've been waiting for him to break out and be the central point of the attack.
What?
Phil Foden.
Oh yeah.
I've been talking about him for so long. And you know what? With Kevin De Bruyne out, this might be his time to shine. Similar to how his hair shined in 2021 when he bleached his hair for the World Cup or for the
Oh
Euro
yeah.
Cup, whatever that was. Are you still
Who
trying to
the
look up this settings thing?
dude? It is. These are not user-friendly apps.
Are you just being a dum
Who do they
dum?
play? There we go. Got it. Shut the fuck up.
Language. This is a for kids podcast.
I don't bet like you do.
To all our friends, if you do gamble, please gamble responsibly. If you feel like this is getting out of control for you, please call 1-800-GAMBLING-HELP.
It's a plus 1,500 for Sheffield.
Put $1 down.
Yeah, and get 15 back.
Yeah, you know how much you probably have to bet on Holland to make that money?
This is taking too much time right now. Friends will report back.
Oh my god. Maybe one of these days we'll actually be, prepared. But anyways, Phil Foden, he played, I thought, wonderful in this matchup. He was very good at finding little pockets of space. And I forget who it was. Someone described it as Pep created the space, but Foden took full advantage, checking his shoulders, seeing what players were around him, which way he was supposed to turn, where his first touch should lead him, and really creating space for the rest of his teammates. What was interesting was Foden started so far outside and then moved his way into the middle to take advantage of those pockets of spaces. And I think in the long run future, it'll be interesting to see how him and De Bruyne can play off of each other, or if they even can, for that matter. But I think Foden is the long-term guy for this team. I'm going to say even above Haaland, because I think Haaland, with his skill set, is going to move around.
I mean, it's interesting because I know that Phil Foden did get a lot of flack when he started because he has like inconsistencies. But you're playing under Pep. Like, if you're a young player with talent and you're playing under that man, you are almost set up for success.
100%.
And it's showing. He's doing really well. He was in and out of the starting lineup I think last season, but now it seems like he's been kind of more cemented.
But he was a consistent
And
sub for the team.
he was a consistent sub, and he would score whenever he got subbed in. He was pretty consistent about being the super sub. Did you see that in this game, Man City didn't make a single substitution?
I did, and apparently there was a fan in the stands who told Pep to make a sub, and Pep turned around and told him to come sit on the bench and figure out who to sub in.
I mean, I think that's just an interesting play. Like, you're one game in. I mean, I guess you're only one game into the season, so I guess if you don't, or 2 games in, so if you don't want to make a sub, sure, because your players aren't tired. But that's just interesting against a team like Newcastle, who didn't, but can hammer you.
Yeah, I believe it was a post-game interview with Pep, and he stated the reason he did not make a sub is because he legitimately could not find an easy sub to make without ruining the flow of the game and the strategy for his team. So he said he was not going to force a sub when his team didn't need it. He said he noted his players didn't look tired, and he didn't he didn't want to force a sub just for the point of making
Yeah.
a substitution,
Yeah. I
which
mean, yeah,
worked out.
why do it when you don't have to? It did work out. I mean, especially with how they play. They move the ball well. They don't let the ball move them. So like with that kind of play style, they're not going to get overly tired, especially against I mean, I can't say again, not a team like Newcastle because we know they're a very well-versed team, but again, very, very early in the season, so there's not a lot of fatigue hitting most of these players.
Right. And what's, I guess, the only thing that can take out City is injuries. If we're gonna be honest about this, it's even taking out their
Mm-hmm.
coach.
Oh yeah, didn't he have back surgery?
Yeah, he got emergency back surgery in Spain, and so he'll be out for the next couple matches. Also, and I forgot to mention this with De Bruyne being out. It's confirmed he's gonna be out for a few months.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Dude, injuries are already like plaguing the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I think the report was at least 4 months De Bruyne will be out. The wear and tear on these bodies. Also, De Bruyne is 32, and he logged so many minutes last year to get that triple crown. He deserves
Mm-hmm.
a year break. Honestly, he could
Let him
retire
chill.
and no one would blame him.
Did you see what De Bruyne did for the teammates after they won the treble?
No,
He got them all like custom City themed like platinum iPhones.
I love it. That's amazing,
The things you can do with money.
right? I mean, Saudi's doing a lot with it. I, I was
They're doing
looking,
something with it.
I was looking forward in the schedule for the City team, and I was trying to figure out who is going to beat them. And I don't mean like for the
Brighton.
season. I mean in an individual match. I love the answer of Brighton. Interestingly enough, there was one team that did it twice last season. But last season, City lost 5 matches total in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
One of the teams did it twice. The other teams that beat City were Liverpool, United, and Spurs.
Yeah.
Do you know who beat City twice?
I feel like it was like a low table team. But tell us.
It was Brentford. I don't know what Brentford was doing for these matches, but apparently they were the only ones who could consistently figure out how to beat the City squad.
I mean, let's see if they can do it again. They don't play Brentford until February. What?
Maybe
No way,
that's
that's
Brentford's
right.
key to success.
Play them once.
Yeah, but we'll see. I do think Brighton will have a great chance. The Arsenal, you have to give them credit that there's a possibility they beat City. Also, you never know when injuries fully take over and a team just doesn't have a squad anymore. We've
Yeah.
complimented City in the past for their depth, and I think it could once again be challenged this year. And I think it'll be an even bigger challenge this year than last. What you making a face for?
Do they really? They really only played Brentford once.
No, they play twice. They play everyone.
When? I know, but I'm looking at their fixtures right now from August until May. Brentford is on there one time. Which that doesn't make sense.
Da, 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 da.
Because I see everyone else twice.
Oh, there's one that's postponed in December,
Oh, there it is. It's not even showing up.
and then there's
At
another one in
least on like the
February.
ESPN.
Oh, I just Google it.
Okay, Google then.
We'll see if City loses the next 2 matches with Pep out. We're just gonna call him the MVP and say that's the only thing that can take this team out. Newcastle, what do you think their takeaway should be from this match?
I mean, if you just look at like from a pure like stats perspective, nothing. They didn't have much possession. They barely had any shots or shots on goal. I guess they didn't get beat worse.
Right. I think they should be obviously disappointed in themselves, not necessarily for the loss, but in how the loss occurred. They had one shot on target, as you said. They barely had any. They had literally one, which is
One.
tied for the joint fewest in an EPL game under their current manager. If they want to compete with bigger clubs, I think they need to find a better balance in offense versus defense during these matchups. I went back to last season. They had 12 draws that were either 1-1 or 0-0. They had 5 matches that were 1-1, and they had 7 matches which were 0-0. They had one more tie. It was the one against City that was 3-3, which was super exciting.
Yeah.
But for me, that shows that they have a hard time with bigger clubs and how to score plenty of goals while also, defending.
I know it's so funny because it's almost like tale of two cities with them because on one hand they had their first game of the season where they scored what, 4?
Right.
And then they don't score any against City, which they scored 3 against them in a previous meeting in the same like reverse. So just I think they need to have some consistency in like their scoring because we know they have a great defense. The fact that they had that many draws or that many 0-0 draws is kind of wild.
And I agree with you. Their defense is stout. They're a very difficult team to be able to penetrate the D and put the ball in the net. Last season, they only gave up 33 goals, which was tied for least goals allowed with
Mm-hmm.
City. They scored either 68 or 69 times. It depends on which website you look on, which is a little weird. 69 was the number
Interesting.
on the official EPL website, so we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
There was multiple teams who outscored them. Even the 2 teams below them in the final standings scored more. And Man United actually scored less than them, and Man United finished third. Go United.
Yeah, baby.
So I think the consistency with which they score needs to be improved upon this season. Last
Mm-hmm.
season, the Newcastle top scorers, their top 3 scorers, when they were on the ranking list for most goals of the season, you know how that is an important stat for many people. Their top goal scorer was 6th in the Premier League. Their second top scorer was 18th in the Premier League, and their third best goal scorer was 45th in the league. This season, they're going to have to find more attacking options and more consistency with that. There's no problem spreading the ball around, spreading the goals around, but there is a problem when you're getting a bunch of 1-1 and 0-0 matches.
Yeah, I mean that's true. They
12
definitely need to
draws,
get.
let's say you divide that in half, right? You all of a sudden get 6 more wins.
Yeah,
That's so
18
many more
points.
points.
Which is funny because they came in 4th anyways. It's not like they were hurting for like anything.
I'm excited though. I think Newcastle's going to be a fun team to watch, especially when they're at home.
Yeah.
All right, next matchup.
God, we're gonna
We got
become
to
like a
discuss this.
Manchester City pod.
We have to discuss this. We have Spurs 2, United 0. Spurs look good. This is being dubbed Ange Ball.
Did Spurs look good or did United look really, really bad?
I was actually going to ask you which one you thought it was, or if it was both.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. That's fair.
A little bit of unlucky as well.
Especially, I think this early in the season, saying a little bit of both is fair because we're not still 100% sure what these teams' identities are. You would think we'd know United's a bit better because they do have the same manager as last season and pretty much the same squad. Ange Ball is looking really good.
This is going to be.
That's what's being dubbed.
I mean, he brought it from Celtic to Tottenham, so we'll see like if he can actually like implement that in a way that is very that can keep Tottenham consistent. Because as we know, they are the most consistently inconsistent team in the planet.
100%. my personal thoughts are that they will do well with the beginning of the season, but other teams will eventually adjust to the style of Ange Ball, and then Spurs will have to adjust to those adjustments. And I think that's where the real tactical strategies and masterminds excel, and where other managers start to suck.
Yeah.
It's one thing to
I
say,
mean,
hey, this is our strategy. It's another thing to be able to say, hey, here's our strategy. The other team's going to counter us in manner A, so we have to go through with plan B when this occurs.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there was a little bit of Tottenham did look good, but United looked not great, like at all.
No,
Bad.
I've seen a lot of video analysis of the middle trio
Oh my
of
God, it's
United.
terrible.
So we know Fernandez, he's not playing defense. We just know that, right? Like
Yeah, he
he's a
doesn't do
liability
that.
back there. Which is, look, it's fine because hypothetically he doesn't really have to go back there much.
Hmm.
The problem is because you all were playing essentially a 3-5-1, but it was more of a 3-2-3-1.
For the most part, yeah.
So, or at least that's how you start off the match. And the issue is you put Mason Mount next to Casemiro. Mason Mount is a liability on offense and defense. And
Yeah.
Casemiro, he looks really sluggish.
Dude, he looks like he ate about a whole entire burger joint over the summer and just like hasn't
He got
shed the
that
weight.
Eden Hazard diet.
He does actually. Oh my gosh, I think I was watching, that may have been something that you had sent, but the fact that he has been dribbled past so many times is mind
Ooh,
boggling
yeah.
considering
Where's
he's
that
such a
stat
solid,
that I found? He's had the most. He's been
I
like
think it was
dribbled
7
past the most times out of any like defensive holding midfielder in the league so far.
in in 2 games, 7 times. And which is wild because he is always like a friggin' defensive mountain when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like he was so good last season, and when it came to like defense and then like literally stopping things.
All right,
And this season, he legitimately, I think, he needs to be dropped.
here's the statistic. As soon as they want to go back, I found it on Instagram Reels via Sky Sports. Yeah, selected midfielders this season and how many times they were dribbled past. And Fernandez and Casemiro are leading the charge.
Yeah,
I think I think United. I think your team needs to do one of two things. Either one, change the formation because two of your three central midfielders are liabilities on the defensive end. So
yeah.
that's an entire side that can be exploited. Or change your formation to really get the best out of your current players. You have a lot of wingers. You have a lot of guys who are good on the outside. Rashford does so much better when he's playing on the left side. He's not nearly as good playing central, being the center.
I mean, we need Holland to come in
Yeah,
and actually play that like center forward role. Like we need that so badly it like hurts.
and to be fair, not everyone can be a central forward. It's
Mm-mm.
really difficult. There's a reason those guys are so sought after.
You know who also sucks as a center forward?
Who?
Richarlison.
Oh yeah, I'm not even on him yet. I still love the fact that Everton got rid of him. Like he
For
was,
like $70 million.
yeah, the dude. I think he was a big fish in a small pond. I think he is everything Gordon wanted to be. The current Gordon who plays for Newcastle.
Hmm. I mean, we've talked about it. I think that he had like one good game, maybe two, towards the end of that one season, and all of a sudden, his like people wanted him because they thought he was going to be like this next score machine.
Which is fine with
And
me.
as we've talked, he's gotten one goal in the last like however many games. 40 games, one goal, because what, 38 games last season, two so far this one.
Yeah, no, he's been a waste of a signing. Him, I don't even have words for Richarlison anymore, just because we've discussed in length the disappointment he's been for this team. He charges an
Yeah.
absurd rate per goal that he scores.
70 mil per goal. That's like it's crazy money.
Right. I think honestly, I'm a big fan for United. If you all played more of like a 4-3-3 formation or something of the sorts, because again, you all have so many offensive pieces. You have a lot of wingers. Anthony on the right side. You had Garnacho on the left, I think it was.
Yeah. Which he did not do well. That was like an absolute horrid game.
Horrid game for him, but overall not a bad player.
No, not a bad
But
player.
you could also put Rashford back on the left side. Is it at all possible to put Bruno Fernandes up at the top? Like, is this a
No.
possibility? Maybe you guys play a
Mm-mm.
false nine. You guys don't
I don't
have
like
the
that.
personnel for a center striker.
We do in about a week.
When you get your Holland knockoff, your
Oi.
you all
Just because you have the same last name as someone doesn't mean you're a knockoff. Don't be an asshole.
did the thing that Hallmark does when they can't actually
Oh
get
my
the A-list
god.
celebrity that they want for a movie, so that they get some like
That's the wish thing.
C-list looking dude who's supposed to look like the A-list
Don't
celebrity.
don't generalize people just because they're from Norway and Denmark. They're not all tall and blonde.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when he finally starts playing. He's recovering from an injury right now.
Yeah, they said he had like a slight back injury. He's supposed to be in the lineup for the Forest game.
Oh yeah, didn't they happen to find that after the signing?
Yes.
I feel like your medical should have taken care of that.
I mean, they did that. They found it during the medical, but
Yeah,
it wasn't big enough for it to be like an issue.
oh, well, it's big enough to miss some games. But you know what? United can turn it around. I still think they have the pieces necessary. I I don't know what Mount's doing. I'm confused what he does in the
I
lineup.
need I mean, it's just going to take some time. He's coming into a new team, new coach. It's just going to like everyone just really is railing on him all over the internet right now. And it's like, it's been 2 games. Chill the fuck out.
But when you play
Like,
for
if we want to,
United, you're not allowed to have
do we
any
want to
kind of
rail on
complaints.
someone? How about Chelsea signing Caicedo for 140 million and then him giving up a penalty and them losing the game?
Oh,
How about Chelsea
we're not
having
even on him
the
yet.
most expensive midfield duo in like the Premier League
We're not
history and
even
they
on
just
Chelsea yet.
absolutely got ruined? So all the
Right.
Chelsea fans shitting on Mount for 2 games of what?
Well, friends, I think we're gonna move on because Andrew's getting a little defensive about his team over here. So we're gonna move on to Wolves and Brighton. Brighton destroyed Wolves 4-1. You and I
They
both got
did.
that right. Brighton, again, might be the most fun team to watch right now.
Oh, easily. Them, I still think Newcastle's fun to watch, even if they didn't play that well against City. But yeah, Brighton is just like free flow attacking football that literally can move the ball so well from keeper up to their strikers. And people were like, oh, they're not going to do as well this season. They lost a bunch of players. Blah blah blah. Doesn't even look like they lost anyone.
Literally doesn't look like they lost anyone.
Who did they lose? I don't know.
They, well, I agree that Newcastle's fun to watch. They're more fun to watch at home. Brighton, it
Mm,
does not matter where they go because their style of play, that free flowing, open play, always making runs. Mitoma he looks like what Messi looks like in the MLS.
right. Kind of does.
I'm very happy Mitoma is on my fantasy team. I'm
Might need
gonna
to
be
do a
really
transfer.
sad one day when he leaves to a different team.
You could still have him on your fantasy.
Oh yeah, I will, but I'm gonna be really sad for Brighton
Yeah.
because we don't know when, but within the next 2 years, their manager's probably gonna get picked off. All their best players will get picked off, and then this team will probably be fighting for relegation again. But also, the scouts for this team don't get paid enough. Finding these players, and then De Zerbi does what I think few managers are doing. He is adjusting to the players. He has a
Hmm.
play style he wants to enforce, and wants the players to keep up with. However, he puts his players in the best position to succeed. He's not forcing them to do something they can't do. He's ensuring that they will look good on the pitch based off the preparation that they've done in training all week.
Yeah, I think it's early predictions is that De Zerbi is going to be up there for manager of the season again. I think he was last year as well, but he's so transformative. It blew my mind him coming in when he did and absolutely turning this team into a European, like honestly, kind of like right now. They look like a powerhouse.
Do you think Graham Potter has any regrets?
Oh, 100%. There's no way he is not sitting at home going, "What the fuck did I do?"
Because Graham Potter started the Brighton thing last season.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to change clubs, what, like a month and a half in?
Yeah. Money talks, though.
Money does talk. And Todd Bowley has plenty of it to just throw around. But, credit to De Zerbi. He stepped up and just showed his genius.
For real, though.
And
However, one thing to note is that yeah, they are playing. We know their style is really fun to watch, and they can play against good teams. But so far this season, they've only played against Luton and Wolves. So once they come up against like a City or Arsenal or someone who is bound to like cause problems for them, it'll be just interesting to see how they like circumvent that. Which I think they'll do it fine. They really did well against, I think, one of their last games of the season against City. Um, in our previous season, they about won it. I think they tied 1-1. They about won it in the end, so they can do it. It'll just be interesting to see this season how they do that.
yeah, they will definitely be able to at least handle the challenge. They'll be up for it. But you're right. They haven't exactly been playing the top-notch team so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think their performance so far will just add to the build-up and the suspense when those bigger matchups do occur.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be fun. I think so. Like you said, Matoma is amazing. I think you had sent a message to me and Tom saying like we're all just living in Matoma's world right now
Yeah, we
with how
really
well
are.
he played against Wolves. But yeah, I mean, their team is just as full of like standout players, and it's just going to be so fun to watch them play this season, even especially watch them play in Europe. Well, European competition. They're already playing in Europe.
All right, let's move on to Liverpool and Bournemouth real quick. I really don't have much for this match. Bournemouth came out first, though, swinging. Got their first goal in the 3rd minute. And it was weird. I didn't feel like Liverpool wasn't going to come back, even with Bournemouth getting the first goal. But also, I kept in mind that Liverpool's at home. And playing
Mm.
at Anfield, there's some weird voodoo magic going on there where Liverpool is almost indestructible.
I mean, it's true, but I think it was. I mean, again, this game, particularly the first 3 minutes, it just showed that Liverpool's defense gets super shaky. It took Bournemouth 3 minutes to dismantle their defense, and
Well, there's only
imagine a
3
better
true
team.
defenders on the Liverpool defense.
I mean, true, but imagine if a better team was playing against that Liverpool, even if it was at Anfield, they probably would have scored more. Like their defense is still going to be a liability, so it'll be. I would hope that they can do something. I think they were linked with a couple of players to sign, but I would hope that they can. I don't know, to really just tighten up their defense. It's such a liability for them that who knows what will happen the rest of the season.
Have you noticed Nunez isn't starting?
No, I have not noticed that.
Which I find that a bit interesting considering he was like their huge signing last season. And this year,
Yeah,
Klopp
didn't
has elected to start him on the bench.
I mean, didn't they spend like almost 100 million on him last season? Something crazy like that.
They spent a lot of money on him, but they've decided to
Yeah,
go elsewhere. And I mean, it's worked so far, I guess.
yeah. I mean, they do have. I mean, they have good goal scorers. Jota and Diaz, who scored, also Salah. We know he can
Yeah,
score.
Salah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess that is interesting. I wonder if they're having miscommunication issues. I wonder if they can understand each other this season.
Maybe they just need Duolingo at all times to be around them.
Just someone with the Duolingo and a microphone on the sideline helping him like shout out instructions.
Friends, for all of you who weren't with us last season, there was multiple reports stating that Nunez, who primarily speaks Spanish and only speaks Spanish, could not understand Klopp during practices, film review, or any other time of the day. And therefore, whenever Klopp would give instructions, afterwards someone would have to then translate to Nunez what the instructions were. Which, as you can imagine, doesn't exactly make for a great game plan when one of your star players doesn't know what the game plan is.
Right. I mean, that's pretty funny. Did you also see that McAllister's red card got overturned?
I did. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised it was a red. Studs up. It was.
Yeah.
There was some. I'm not saying like there was force, like he went really hard into it, but there was enough force where I was fine with the red to begin with.
I mean, I saw red cards last season get given for less and upheld when teams tried to
Yeah,
get them overturned. So I'm like,
and I wasn't surprised it was overturned. It's Liverpool.
I mean, it is Liverpool. There's been there's been a lot of refereeing controversy in these first 2 weeks.
There has. The one thing I do appreciate is the amount of yellow cards for time wasting.
Yeah, I did notice that in a couple of games, which I definitely appreciate because they need to crack down on that. I think that was the thing that they were talking about actually doing is
It's one of the
cracking down
points of
on like
emphasis
that.
this year is time wasting, and they're doing it in two ways. One is yellow cards for taking too long on anything, throw-ins,
Nice.
goal kicks, even penalty kicks. They're now telling the keepers to get back to the line quicker instead of the keeper
Oh
being
yeah.
out there for honestly like sometimes 2-3 minutes just standing in front of the shot taker before the
Well, we all know who's to blame for that.
yeah. So I really appreciate that. I enjoy that. The other way the league is trying to combat time wasting is by adding more minutes into stoppage time. And I know there have been a
Hmm.
lot of complaints from players and coaches saying how this is just extending games for too long. But the real simple solution to that is stop wasting time. Stop rolling on the ground if you're not actually injured. No one thinks
Hmm.
you're tougher because you laid on the ground longer. And I think it's been proven at this
Yeah.
point, especially now with VAR, that you're not going to get more calls because you're on the ground longer.
Yeah. I mean, that it is simple truth. Stop wasting time. We'll stop adding time to the games.
Also,
Pretty cut and dry.
another point of emphasis this year for the referees, and this has always been a rule, but now it's really a point of emphasis. If a player from Team A asks for a yellow card, like if you and I are on opposite teams, Andrew, and you foul
Mhm.
me, and I look at the ref and I make that like card motion in the air, saying you deserve a
Yeah.
card, I now get a yellow card for that.
So what? They're like adding that to like dissent.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and that's always been a rule, or it has been for at least a few years now. But this year is a point of emphasis,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy that because we need these players to stop focusing so much on time wasting and running up to the referee and crowding him. Because now one of the
Yes.
other points of emphasis is when you crowd the referees are now more encouraged to give yellow cards for that.
Yeah. That's one thing I've always disliked is crowding a referee. Like just the call's been made. We have VAR to intervene if necessary. Like you doing that is not going to do shit.
Exactly. Do you have anything else for the Liverpool Bournemouth game?
No.
Honestly, I don't have a lot for the rest of a lot of these matches. Brentford 3, Fulham 0. The only thing I really have for Fulham is that Mitrovic is now gone. He also went to the Middle East.
Yep. I have literally have that in my notes. So they're like, unless they sign someone, they're not going to score because I'm pretty sure he was their leading scorer last season.
Right. So this will definitely take Fulham a few spots down in the final standings at the end of the year. But I still don't
Hmm.
think they're exactly going to be fighting for relegation because I think there's a few clear, obvious teams that'll be down there.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really have anything else about that. Brentford still doing Brentford things, showing up consistently. Match after that, we have West Ham 3, Chelsea 1. This was probably the shocker of the weekend.
Yeah.
Chelsea looked so dysfunctional.
They look so bad. Like they just like it's just continuation of form from last season. They can't score. They had a crap ton of shots.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know
I
what's
don't
going
I don't
on.
understand.
But West Ham did prove what can happen when you take them lightly. Because 2 years ago, they were not a fun team to play against in the Premier League. Last season, they had a bad season, which is fine. It can happen.
Yeah.
But Chelsea, I think, took them too lightly. Also, we haven't talked about James Ward-Prowse playing for West Ham.
Immediate impact.
He's the
Also, what a good signing.
he's the best free kick taker in the league right now.
Yeah.
I guess
Like without a doubt.
dead ball taker, because also like
Yeah, dead
corners and
ball
everything.
taker. Yeah, because I mean, I think it was his corner that led to one of their goals because he just knows exactly where to put the ball, like
Yeah,
without a doubt.
immediate impact. I don't know if when I was looking at my projections for standings at the end of the year, if I really took that into account as much as I should have. That's on me. I apologize. James Ward-Prowse, you are a beautiful, beautiful human, and I love watching you play. It reminds me of Beckham, back from when I was a kid, and we really just don't have those kind of guys anymore, which is a real shame
No.
because everyone just wants to score now. People forget about the art of taking free kicks and not just to put it over the wall and try to score, which, by the way, guys are really bad at it. I want to see statistics
Hmm.
about if players have gotten better, worse, or the same over the decades.
Probably worse.
I feel like it's been worse.
I mean, I feel like the only person who can consistently score a free kick nowadays is probably Messi.
Yeah, and that's in the
when
MLS now.
when Ronaldo used to be able to score free kicks like they were giving him out for free.
Yeah, there was jokes that guys on the wall used to turn around so they could also watch the ball go in.
Mm. I
Yeah.
mean, Chelsea they're just doing a continuation of what happened last season. Their midfield duo that I had ranted briefly about earlier, I think is the most expensive in like the Premier League. It's like I think it's like 250 million for both of them or
And
something like that.
Caicedo gave up a penalty. Also, Chelsea
Gave
missed
up
a
a
penalty.
penalty. Yeah, and it was Enzo Fernandez who missed the penalty, one of the other
And I
midfielders.
think that's his like fifth penalty ever taken or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a very low number. I heard something
Yeah.
about that.
This is a stat I want to put into perspective for our groundskeepers. Chelsea, they may have had a lot of shots. I think they had 17. They had less than 25% of those on target. I think
Yeah,
they only had 4 shots out of their 17 on target, and West Ham had like 50% on target. Like it just shows you that like there's some sort of offensive shooting, just something that
they
is
have the
going on at
yips.
Chelsea that they haven't ironed out.
They have the permanent offensive yips.
Oh my god, that they do.
This team also looks very different without Reece James in the back, and
Hmm.
he is injured, and he will also be out for I think a couple months at least.
Oh yeah, their gigantic list of injuries.
Yeah, and Reece James is the worst of it, because he was their captain, which
Yeah.
there was jokes made that like when he was captain, oh who's going to be the captain for the other 25 games of the season because he does
Right.
miss a lot of time. He's very injury prone. Chelsea might have to take a look at their physios, their medical staff, because when there's a lot of injuries to a team, usually the medical staff is the one to blame.
They need to get Brighton's physios. They
Oh,
clearly know what they're doing.
the guys whose arms are bigger than my whole body.
They clearly know what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great idea. All right, we're gonna move on to this next matchup so that we don't take up too much time. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. Everton may be the quickest team to get relegated in league history. I'm not quite sure what the record is. Do you happen to know what the record is?
For the quickest, no.
You know what? You keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
All right. I mean, that's fine. I was when we got down to this game, I was going to ask if you wanted to talk about this because it was not a great game. But like I said earlier, United had a very similar start to this last season. Got pumped 2 games in a row. Everyone was calling for heads. Everyone was, woe is me. I was. um, but things got up. Things looked up after that. Like they pulled their heads out. They did some running. So maybe that's what you guys. Maybe that's what Sean Deitch is going to do. Make you guys do some running, and hopefully fix your chandelier of a player count, because every time I feel like you have a player that comes back from injury, they just immediately get injured again. I believe you guys had like 4 people that got injured that game. So that's something that needs to definitely help.
We have so many injuries. DCL finally came back, and within 4 minutes, he had a fractured cheek.
Yeah, didn't he break his face? Then what? Iwobi got injured, who came in for him or that subbed on at some point. Like your people that can score goals are getting injured too quickly.
So the earliest a team has actually been relegated from the Premier League was in game week 32.
Oh, so it's not like super soon.
Hmm. And this was in, what year was this? This was 2 years ago. So I'm not sure what week Southampton got officially relegated last season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think Everton is on track to beat that. They have no offensive threats. They don't have any defensive walls.
Not this season. Not right now.
The midfield is made of Swiss cheese. There's no inspiration to their attack. They seem to have lost some of their grittiness, which really helped carry them in the latter part of last season. The owners suck. They literally didn't let Everton spend money on almost anyone. And they don't want to sell the club.
I feel that on a very personal level.
So this team's headed to championship. There is no hope.
Hey now. It's 2 games in. I'm going to need you to back your team a little bit more.
There is literally nothing to back.
There is. The only place you guys can go from here is up.
But we can also stay where we are. That's also an option. We don't have to go up.
Have you guys even made any transfers this season?
We've signed 2 people.
2 people.
Because
one on
that's
loan.
all our board will allow us to. They made terrible signings for many, many years. Cost a lot of money for players that didn't turn out well. And so they decided the solution was to not allow any budget for signing any.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're looking at, but it doesn't look good.
Apparently you guys are in talks for a forward from PSG.
Is it Neymar?
No, I'm pretty sure he's out of the picture. He just went to
add to our list of injuries.
I mean, he could. Honestly, I'm pretty sure he's off the table.
Everton needs a break from the Premier League. Because for 2 straight seasons, it was a relegation battle. At some
you don't
point,
like the woes of that?
Drop down to not do this to your fans anymore. And maybe by dropping down, the owners will sell the club. And someone new can come in. Someone with oil money. And they can bring this club back up. We could be like the next Newcastle.
We're running out of oil money owners.
We're not. We're absolutely not. Did you see the private plane that Neymar got to fly in on? It was a 747 that had like 5 floors.
Yeah.
That thing costs more than the current Everton budget.
Probably costs more than the whole club.
Probably. We're not worth much.
How much are you worth? Let's see.
Not a lot. I have nothing else to say about this club. It's a very sad club.
You guys' market value is like 400 million.
2 years ago, I did not have a Premier League team. Come this point next year, I will once again not have a Premier League team.
Ye of little faith.
I shouldn't have faith. Why would I have faith? There's
You
nothing
have
to
to
have
have
faith
faith.
about.
Have faith.
There's no faith. We're moving on. Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 1. Arsenal technically took care of business. They got the win.
Technically.
You could see the look of joy on the players' faces and Arteta's face when this match was finally called. Not every win is pretty, but 3 points is 3 points,
No, it is.
and that's really what matters at the end of the day. Good for Arsenal. I excited to see where the team goes. Declan Rice seems to be fitting in pretty well, I would say. He's never going to be a guy that's going to be huge on the stat sheet. It's not who he is.
Mm-mm.
He does make a good impact each and every match. And I don't really have anything else for this team.
I mean, it'll kind of a slow start around the Premier League for a lot of teams. Arsenal, even though they're not scoring as many at the beginning as they did last season, I don't think it's going to be a mar on their entire season. I think they hopefully have learned from how they ended last year and will actually keep their squad in like a better performing state throughout the entire season rather than give up at the end. As I said earlier, this season has been so far in the 2 weeks that we've had marred with a lot of like controversy when it comes to VAR and refs, and I think this game also had its own. I believe there was like some penalties that weren't given or that were given. Other cards getting handed out. So if I have a takeaway from at least this game or other games, it's that we need to get our referees like under control.
Yeah, I feel like each match at the end of it, I'm like, it wasn't poorly ref, but it wasn't ref the same as the previous match.
No, I mean, if you think about that just from like the United perspective, like there was a handball that was clearly not given during that game, but there was other handballs given previous weeks or the same day.
Or
It's
Onana
just they're
not getting called for a penalty and Pickford getting called for a
doing the
penalty.
same thing. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the consistency does need to be improved so that we at least the players and teams can at least know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that comes with the season, because these referee associations are also internally having many talks, discussing how to improve after each and every match. And with the points of emphasis, they usually start off with that, and then as the season progresses, they just bring up other points, and they also like to improve just like the teams do.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I feel like as a referee, you shouldn't have to improve like a team does. You guys have like a pretty consistent rule book that you should, just be sticking to.
Yeah, but then when you start trying to like make points of emphasis for like which rules you're going to enforce more or things like that, it kind of becomes gray areas because most of the rule book is actually a gray area.
Yeah, I mean,
The
true.
words excessive, reckless, and cautiously are all in there, and they mean different things.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the referees. We'll see what happens with Arsenal. But hopefully, they can keep like I say. Hopefully, as a non-biased podcast host, that they can do well. Do I want them to actually do well? Hell no.
Well, I think that's it for today. We I think our longest episode yet of this season. We'll try to keep them, to an hour-ish every single week. See what we can do. Friends, once again, thank you for joining us. Please follow us on all socials. Please interact with us on social media. We'd love to, go back and forth. We will keep you updated on our new surprises that are coming up, hopefully soon within the next few weeks. No promises, but that's what the projected timeline is.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Bye, friends.
So long.